Welcome to Better English.
Speak English with confidence.
Hello there. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Better English podcast. I am David, and I am so happy that you are joining me today. I want you to take a deep breath, sit back, and relax. Today, we are going to spend some time together looking at two very small words. These words are do and make. Now, I know what you are thinking. David, these are very simple words. I learned these in my first week of English class. And you are right, they are simple. But they are also very tricky. Even students who have been studying English for a long time sometimes stop and think, should I say, do a mistake or make a mistake? It is a very common question, and today I am going to help you understand the answer. My goal for this episode is to help you feel comfortable. I want you to listen to my voice and hear how these words sound in real sentences. We are not going to rush. We are going to go step by step. By the end of this lesson, you will have more confidence when you speak. You will know exactly which word to choose. Why is this so important? Well, do and make are used every single day. We use them when we talk about our jobs, our homes, our friends, and our plans. If you understand the difference between them, your English will sound much more natural. You will move from sounding like a student to sounding like a confident speaker. In this episode, I have broken everything down into easy parts. First, I will explain the big secret, the general rule that helps you choose between do and make. After that, we will look at do for actions and work. Then, we will look at make for creating things and making sounds. We will even talk about the strange exceptions, those phrases that don't follow any rules at all. I am here as your friend and your teacher. I want this to be a calm space where you can focus on your listening skills. You don't need to worry about complex grammar or fast talking. I am going to speak clearly and slowly just for you. I really appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me. Learning a language is a journey, and I am honored to be part of yours. If you find this lesson helpful, it would be wonderful if you could like the video or subscribe to the channel. It is a small way to help our community grow, and it means a lot to me. So, are you ready to start? Let's clear our minds and get ready to learn. Let's dive into the world of do and make so you can continue to speak English with confidence. In this section, we are going to look at the big picture. Before we learn many different phrases, it is helpful to have a golden rule. While English can be strange, there is a general logic that helps us choose between do and make. The simplest way to think about it is this. We use do for actions, obligations, and repetitive tasks. We use make for creating, constructing, or producing something new that was not there before. Let's look at do first. Think of do as the word for work or activity. When you do something, you are performing a task. You are using your energy to complete an action. For example, when you do your homework, you are performing the activity of studying. You are not building a physical object. You are simply completing a task that is required of you. This is why we use do for jobs and chores. It is about the process and the effort you put in. Now, let's look at make. Think of make as the word for creating. When you make something, the result is usually a product or an object that you can see or touch. If you go into the kitchen and prepare a sandwich, you say, I am making a sandwich. Why? Because at the beginning, you had bread and butter, and at the end, you have a finished meal. You created something new. This also applies to things we cannot touch, like sounds or plans. If you speak, you make a noise. You produced a sound. If you decide to meet a friend on Saturday, you make a plan. You created an idea or an arrangement. To help you remember, try to ask yourself this question. Am I performing an activity? Or am I creating a result? Asterisk. If it is an activity or a general task, use do. If there is a result or a new product, use make. I know it sounds simple, And it usually is. But I want to remind you that you don't need to be perfect right now. Just hearing this rule helps your brain start to categorize these words. As you listen to more English, you will start to notice this pattern everywhere. It's like a puzzle, and today we are putting the first pieces together. Stay with me, because in the next part we are going to look specifically at do and see how we use it to talk about our daily work and our lives at home. I am very proud of you for sticking with this. Remember, every minute you spend listening is a minute where you are getting better. In this section, we are going to focus entirely on the word do. As we discussed, do is our word for actions, jobs, and repetitive tasks. I want to give you several clear examples that you can use in your daily life. The most common way we use do is when we talk about work. In fact, if someone asks you, "What do you do?" they are asking about your job. We use do for general work because work is an activity. You might say, "I have a lot of work to do today." You aren't creating a physical object. You are performing your duties. This is why we always say do your job or do business. We also use do for chores at home. These are things we have to do again and again to keep our lives organized. For example, we say do the laundry. Think about it. You are washing the clothes, drying them, and folding them. You aren't making the clothes. You are just cleaning them. The same rule applies to the kitchen. After you eat, you have to do the dishes. It is a task that has a beginning and an end, but it is a repetitive action. Education is another big area for the word do. As a student, you often have to do homework or do an exercise. When you sit at your desk to study, you are performing the activity of learning. If you have a big test, you want to do your best. This is a lovely phrase to remember. Doing your best means you are putting in all your effort and energy. Here's a short list of common do phrases to help you practice. Do the shopping, going to the store to buy food. Do a favor, doing something kind for a friend. Do the cleaning, making your house tidy. Do some exercise, going for a run or lifting weights to stay healthy. I want you to notice that in all these examples, do is about the process. It is about the doing. You are busy, you are active, and you are completing a task. If you can remember that do equals activity or work, you are already halfway to mastering these words. Take a moment to think about your own day. What do you have to do today? Do you have to do the shopping? Do you have to do some work for your boss? Try saying these sentences out loud. It helps your ears get used to the sound of the word do with these specific activities. You are doing a wonderful job staying focused. I know listening for a long time can be hard, but you are making great progress. In the next part, we will switch our focus to the word make and see how it differs from everything we just talked about. Now, let's talk about our second word, make. As we learned in the beginning, make is the word we use for creating, producing, or building something new. When you use make, there is usually a physical object or a specific result at the end of the action. Food and drink are the best ways to understand make. If you go into the kitchen to prepare something, you are creating a meal. You will hear people say, make breakfast, make lunch, or make dinner. You can also make a cup of tea or make a sandwich. In all these cases, you start with ingredients and you create something delicious to eat or drink. But make is not just for things we can eat. We also use it for communication and sounds. When you speak, you are producing a sound that was not there before. This is why we say make a noise or make a phone call. Even if you are just talking to a friend, you might make a suggestion or make a joke. You are creating a thought or a sound and sharing it with the world. We also use make when we talk about travel and arrangements. If you need to see a doctor, you call the office to make an appointment. You are creating a spot in their calendar. If you are going on a trip, you might make a reservation at a hotel. These are all about creating a result or a final decision. Here's a list of common make phrases to help you remember the creation rule. Make a mistake. When you do something wrong, you create an error. Make a choice. When you look at two things and decide which one you want. Make a list. Writing down things on paper so you don't forget them. Make money. Working so that you produce an income for yourself. Make friends. Building a new relationship with someone. A very important one for your daily life is make a mistake. Many students want to say do a mistake, but remember our rule. A mistake is a result of an action. You created the error, so we must use make. I want you to think about your morning. Did you make coffee? Did you make your bed? These are small acts of creation that happen every day. By using make, you are telling the listener that you produced a result. You are doing so well. We have covered the general rules, the do for work and the make for creation. You are building a very strong foundation for your English. In the next part, we are going to look at some of those tricky exceptions, the phrases that don't always follow the rules but are very important to know. I'm so glad you're here with me on the Better English podcast. Taking this time for yourself is a great way to speak English with confidence. In this section, we need to talk about the tricky parts of English. As you know, every rule in English usually has a few exceptions. These are phrases that do not follow the general action versus creation rule we talked about earlier. These phrases might seem strange, but because they are so common, we simply have to learn them as they are. The first exception is one you probably do every morning: make the bed. If we follow our rule, you might think you should say, do the bed, because it feels like a chore or a task. You are just tidying the blankets. However, in English, we always say, make the bed. Perhaps it is because you are creating a tidy space, but the best way to remember it is just to memorize the phrase as a whole. Another strange one is do your hair or do your makeup. When you are getting ready in the morning and you brush your hair or put on lipstick, you are technically creating a new look, but we use do. You can say, wait a minute, I need to do my hair before we leave. This is a very natural way to speak, and it sounds much better than saying make my hair. We also have exceptions when it comes to communication. Earlier I said we use make for phone calls and suggestions. But when it comes to a specific piece of work, like a report or a crossword puzzle, we use do. For example, you do a crossword. Even though you are filling in the blanks and creating the finished puzzle, we treat it as an activity or a game. Here are a few more rule breakers to keep in mind. Make a bed, tidying your blankets in the morning. Do the laundry. Even though it's a chore, remember we always use do for housework. Make a mess. If you drop your coffee or leave your clothes on the floor, you create a mess. Do your best. Even though best is a result, we always do our best. I know this can feel a little confusing. You might think, David, how can I remember all of these? My advice is simple. Do not try to learn them all at once. Pick one or two phrases that you use every day. Maybe tomorrow morning, when you tidy your room, you can say to yourself, I am making my bed. When you get ready for work, you can say, I am doing my hair. Using these phrases in your real life is the best way to make them stick in your memory. You are doing a great job. English is not always logical, but you are proving that you can handle the challenge. We are almost at the end of our lesson, and you should feel very proud of the time you have invested today. In the next part, we are going to do a little bit of practice together. I will give you some sentences, and you can try to guess if we should use do or make. It will be a fun way to see how much you have learned. We have reached the final part of our journey today. I am so glad you stayed with me until the very end. We have covered a lot of ground together, from the big golden rule of action versus creation to those little phrases that just like to break the rules. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it is this. Do not be afraid of these words. Yes, do and make can be confusing, But the more you listen and the more you practice, the easier it becomes. You don't have to be perfect today. Language learning is a slow process, and every small step you take is a victory. Remember that do is usually your friend for tasks, work, and chores, the things that keep your day moving. And make is there for when you create something new, whether it is a delicious dinner, a plan with a friend, or even a little mistake. If you get confused, just ask yourself, am I working or am I creating? Most of the time, that question will lead you to the right answer. I want to thank you so sincerely for listening to the Better English podcast. It is truly a joy for me to help you on your path to fluency. My mission is to help you speak English with confidence, one simple lesson at a time. If you enjoyed our time together today, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. It helps me know that these lessons are useful for you, and it allows me to keep creating more content to support your learning. Take what you learned today and try to use it. Tomorrow morning when you are tidying up, tell yourself, I am making the bed. When you sit down at your desk, say, I am doing my work. These small moments are where real learning happens. I am David, and it has been a pleasure being your host today. Until next time, keep practicing, keep listening, and keep believing in yourself. You are doing a wonderful job. Goodbye for now.
Your English journey does not end here. Watch more videos and keep practicing.